Round twos. Okay. So if you can just introduce yourself and share a little bit about what life looks like today.
Okay, kia ora, I'm Mon. I have 3 beautiful children. One is my son, my oldest son is 18. My daughter is 11. Going on 24.
Oh, no.
And my son, who's very spirited, is 6. And I have a blue moon love that is my everything along with my children. And life for me at the moment, right now, is me.
Hey.
I'm the happiest I've probably ever been.
Wow.
And that's from the support of my friends and family, and my kids, and my partner who is solid as.
Man.
So, yeah, I mean, like, considering where I've come from, beforehand, I don't think, I think it's made me the person I am today. So I don't put up with...
Fuck all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This life's too short.
Hard.
And it's made to be lived.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm all about living this life.
Fuck me.
I think about myself, I mean, not saying that I'm but I feel like I'm a phoenix that's risen from the ashes, you know.
Fuck yeah.
And I just want to rise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Winning.
so, yep.
Okay, so what made you want to reach out and share your journey with us on the campaign?
I think that in this country there's too many women that are dying due to the hands of their partner, and also men that are getting assaulted but they are really quiet, really silent. And I mean, I came close to being a statistic in this country, and I want other women to know that that we are strong beyond means. And I mean, I've been to some of the darkest depths and I've faced the devil full on, full frontal. And I just believe that if I can help somebody or make them see that their worth is more than what they're getting, I'm all about it.
Fuck yes, me. So with that being said, where does your journey begin?
So my journey begins in 2016. I had come back from Australia. I'd moved over there to nanny for my younger sister, and I had actually got pregnant to my perpetrator on a one-night stand, and I was on a break from my partner at the time, as you do, and I just wanted to feel better, and so I actually hooked up with my perpetrator, and I ended up getting pregnant from it. But then I reconciled with my partner at the time, and things with us sort of we were just living 2 separate lives, really. It wasn't really a partnership. So I went to Australia, and the father of my daughter got in touch with me over there, and he was very convincing and convinced me that he wanted to get to know his daughter, and so I came back to New Zealand. And
was that it? He just wanted to get to know her, didn't want to stay?
Well, he made me think that we were gonna be a family.
Yeah.
And I come from an early childhood background, so that was my career before him, and so I thought, like, knowing the importance of having a family unit, I thought, oh yeah, I'll go back and give it a try and let him be a father. And I came back, and he is very, how do you put it, very sporadic, and he wanted me to go up central, so he was staying up in Ormako, which is near Alexandra, and he was working in the shearing sheds there. And I came back, and I come from a shearing background. My mum is like 81, and she's this hardest woman I know. Like, she still works in the sheds now, and she'd run rings around me. So, and then my younger sister, she's a wool classer, so he was like, oh, you know, it runs in the family, like, you should come and work in the sheds. And I said, oh, it's not really me. And but I gave in, and I went and worked in the sheds. And because he was a lot younger than me, I sort of thought, oh, you know, you won't get this sort of drama from a cub. And because I was thinking, you know, you just won't get it. And he hated the fact that the people that he was working with in the sheds liked me more than him. It was like a jealousy thing, I think. And he just, like, used to get so saying, well, for him, alcohol was his kryptonite, and he was like a different person on it. And we'd been at a cutout this day at the shed, and we'd like chopped through some boxes, man. We were like pretty like...
What's a cutout? Like pisser?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of it, like, when you cut out the shed, you have a few drinks. The farmers usually shout a couple of boxes, and then you go on your way. And then we went back to the quarters, and where most of the people that he was working with were staying, and we went back there, and we were on the piss. And I remember I was talking to one of the shearers, because I was so shit at working in the sheds, and I don't even care about admitting it, but I had hit him in the head with my broom, there was, you know, it wasn't the done thing to do. So I was apologising to him and saying to him, oh, look, this isn't really my forte. And he got jealous. I could see him. I could just see him brewing up. And so I went to go to the toilet, and and he followed me into the toilet, and he said to me, he goes, I fucking know what you're up to, you fucking slut. And I said, what? I said, bro, I'm just trying to get to know these people that we're working with. And I said, and I'm trying to be polite. And he said, I fucking know what you're doing. And so I said, oh, come on, let's go, because I knew that he was going to start to be an egg. And there was this Rousey sitting there, so she's a wool handler, a shed hand, and she was sitting there antagonising him and saying, oh, look at her, like, oh, that's what the shearer does, you know, and making this big mountain out of a molehill. And we got home, and I said to him, you know, like, as a woman, I think we can't let it go a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to know. And I said, look, we need to talk about this. And he had grabbed his pendulum, so it's a steel bar about the size of a pen thickness, and it was about 30 or 40 centimetres long, and it had a big thing on the end of it. And I was following him into the garage from the sleep out where he slept. I followed him into the garage, and I said, we need to talk about that. Well, that was the last thing I remember. And I didn't actually know what had actually gone on.
Because it happened so quick.
Yeah, and I think I was knocked out. And when I woke up, I wasn't in the garage, but I kept on going in and out of consciousness, I think. And because one part of it, I was in where he was actually grinding his gear, and I was laying on the ground, and he was like stomping me and hitting me further with that pendulum. And I thought, oh, he's gonna fucking kill me. And so I thought, what will I do? And I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll pretend I'm seizing. So I pretended I was seizing, and I remember him coming over me and saying, you fucking drama queen. And just like I was already down and out. And then I kept on thinking about the Enough movie, with Jennifer.
Yes,
yeah,
Jennifer,
I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, oh, well, I'm not, in the position. And I thought, it's making him worse, me pretending that I was seizing.
Oh.
So I thought, what will I do? And I thought, oh, I'll pretend that I'm dead. And it wasn't until I did that he was like, oh, I think he actually spat on me, to be fair. And then I was that happened in the garage, but when I woke up, I was back inside the sleep out, so I don't quite know how I got from place to place. And I woke up and I was thinking, what the fuck? Because I was all wet, but it was the blood. So he had opened up my forehead. There's a couple of scars on my head, both from him. He'd opened up my forehead, and it was flapping pretty much. And it was all the blood that had come out when I was down on the ground. And he was asleep by that stage. But he must have left me during that attack and went and got some fish and chips. And he was in bed asleep, like probably 10 metres away from me, while I was down on the ground bleeding. And I got up, and everything just became really clear to me. Like, I was pissed, like, beforehand, which I think saved my life, to be fair.
In what way?
Well, I just think it relaxed me, because I wasn't frigid and or rigid. And I remember getting up, and I was just thinking, this guy, he's gone to fucking sleep. And so I packed up all my stuff, everything. I even got my washing off the line, and totally packed it away, put it in my washing basket, packed up my car, and because I couldn't find any paper, and I was still in my work clothes, so I still smelled like the shearing sheds. And I packed up my car, and I came back into the room, and I found a Vivid or a pen, I think it was, and I wrote a note on the paper, and I said, tell Kirky, because I was supposed to work the next day. And I said, tell Kirky I've had a family emergency and that I had to go home. Just so he didn't feel like I'd let him down, because that would be important. And I picked up the car, and I got in the car, and I went back round to the quarters because I couldn't find my phone, and I was thinking, did I leave it here? And then I was thinking, nah, but he'd had it. And then I went back to the house where he was, and I thought, fuck yeah, like I need to make a call. And so I found his phone because he'd had it charging because he needed his alarm. And I found his phone, and I rang his brother, his younger brother. And I said, because his mother actually was the publican at the pub in Lawrence, where I'm from. And so I rang the pub, and she answered, and I put on this accent. I don't even know if it was even an accent, but so I could talk to his brother, so she didn't know it was me. And he said, oh, hi. And I go, bro, it's me. And he said, Mom. And I go, yeah. And I said, oh, is it all good if I come and stay with you for a couple of days? And he goes, yeah, all good. He goes, are you all right? And I go, yeah. I said, I'll see you soon. I said, oh, bro, I might need to have a shower when I get to your place. And he said, yeah, go for it. You know, just help yourself. He said, it's open. And so I drove 2 hours back to Lawrence, and I went to his room, and I had a shower, and because the whole entire trip I could smell dope, and I was thinking, what the fuck, where the fuck is this dope coming from? And the smell, and I was thinking, oh, I hope I don't get pulled up because I don't know where this dope is. And when I was getting undressed, it fell out, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and it looked like I had a vagina on my head, because the flap was just flapping.
Wow.
Like if there would have been a wind blowing, it would have been blowing in the wind. I laugh about it because like I was thinking, and then I didn't actually realise the seriousness of my
adrenaline.
Yeah, because I was just like, yeah, and I was thinking, oh, bro, and I was looking at my face, and I looked like the Lion King, and I was thinking, oh, so I just got into my pajamas, and I was lying on the couch, and I didn't know how to work his TV, and that blue screen that comes up came on, and I didn't know how to figure it out, so I just left it, and my head was starting to sort of pound because I was like real tired, and probably because I was concussed, but he came over because he finished at the pub, and he came over, and he opened the door. He rang me before he was coming over, because so it's just a walk across the road. And he goes, oh, do you want me to bring you anything? I said, oh, bro, can you bring a drink and some munchies or something? And he said, yeah, no, all good. And then he went to walk in. I said, oh, bro, just before you turn on the light, I just want to let you know that I've got a little bit of a gash on my forehead. And he goes, Mon, I can see it. Like he reckoned he could see my skull.
Fuck.
And I said, oh, I don't think it's my skull. And he goes, oh, yeah, no, I think it is. He goes, oh, no, I'm ringing the ambulance. I said, oh, nah, bro, nah. And I said, nah, because I've just driven like 2 hours. I'm all good. I said, I just want to sleep. And he said, nah. He said, no. He said, we're going to go to A&E in Dunedin, which is about another hour and 10 drive. And I said, oh, bro, like, I don't want to, you need to get some sleep. He said, nah. He said, did he do that? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, he did. And he goes, what set him off? And I said, I don't really know. I said we'd been drinking, and I sort of told him the gist of it. And so he took me through to A&E, and then we were parked out in the A&E car park, and I said, oh, it won't be long. And he goes, no, I'm coming in. And I said, nah, bro, don't come in, because they'll think it's you. And he goes, I don't give a fuck. He goes, it wasn't me. And so he came in with me, and like when I undressed, like I still hadn't seen the thing, but of the injuries that I'd sustained. And when I undressed, because he came in with me, and because he's sold like that. When he came in, I was undressing, and I looked on my by my muscle, and there was a full blown red band gumboot print.
Wow.
And there was bruises just everywhere, bruises, cuts, all sorts of stuff. And like I'm sure he must have kicked me in my kidneys and stuff, because I was like in pain, I was in agony. And they checked me over, and then the nurse said, oh, would you like to have a cup of tea to my brother-in-law? And he said, oh, yeah. She goes, I'll just go down. And I knew as soon as he went
As
out.
soon as he walked
yeah.
out, was it him?
Are you safe? And I was like, I said, yeah, no, it wasn't him. But I made up this big lie, elaborate lie, to cover it.
Why?
Because I just think it was the whole shame of it. And like, because I'm a strong woman. Like, I like pride myself on being strong, and I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah.
You know, and so I covered it over, and I said that this chick had like attacked me because she thought that I was trying to get with her man. And so anyway, that happened, and I stayed with him. Like, I stayed with my brother-in-law for a couple of days, and but I had no phone, and I still couldn't figure out where my phone was, and but he'd found it.
Who?
So my perpetrator had found it, and gone through it, tried to go through it, and but he didn't find anything in it. And then so he just bent it in half and like smashed it and got rid of it before I came to. And so I was like, oh, this, I don't want to be that. And I was thinking, fuck, you know, like, because your life's on your phone. And I was thinking, what the fuck? Anyway, he, like, everyone was trying to find me because he'd rung up this party and he'd said, oh, it was mine there. Like, it was a 40th birthday, and he'd rung up and he'd said, asked if I was there, and they said, oh, no, she's not here. Well, she's up there with you, isn't she? And he said, oh, well, and he sort of like came about it by saying, oh, well, I actually gave her the knockies, and but nobody knew where I was. So like one of my nephews thought that I'd crashed and went in the river and all this stuff, and so they had police actually looking for me, trying to verify where I was. And because at that stage I think I was a missing person. And then the police actually got in contact with me, and they said, oh, do you want to press charges? And I said, nah. I don't want to press charges. And so I didn't. And then he got in contact with me, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. And I was just fucking dumb, and I believed it. And I said, I won't come back if you're like drinking is a no-no, like that is a no-no. And he said, yep, like I just want my family. And I said, right, but my daughter wasn't there. She was with my parents because I was working, obviously. So
I was going to ask, was she?
Yeah, she wasn't there. And but I wouldn't go and see her when I was back in Lawrence. Or like I went back to Lawrence when my brother-in-law went back to work, because he was living in Lawrence. He was staying at like a B&B, and then he was like travelling to Dunedin because that's where he had a house with his partner at the time. And so I ended up going back, and I went back and worked for my boss that I had worked with him. And when he said, are you all right? And I said, yeah. And he goes,
the boss?
Yeah. And he said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And he said, are you all good to work tomorrow? I said, yeah, I'm on. And he said, say if you're not, though, eh? And I go, yeah. Well, he came down to pick me up, him and his partner, and because I was the first pickup, and I went to get into the van, and he looked at me and he just turned around and he shook his head, and he said, are you sure you're all right? And I said, yeah, I'm all good. And I said, I'll take more than that to fucking, whatever. And he was just shaking his head because he was like, he's from, like, my old boss was pretty old school, and he is a really close friend of our family's, and so that was all good. And then I kept on trying, like it was like pissing in the fucking wind, to be fair. Kept on trying to like give, because he guilted me sort of for taking away my daughter for 3 years from him.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had that going on in my head, and I was like, right, okay, then we'll keep doing this. And in 2017, he bought this car. He bought this WRX, and he was so ammo, and he ended up like coming off the road in it, because I was thinking it was too much car for him, and like he got all frantic about that, and he goes, oh no, I don't want that car anymore. And I was like, all right, well, just take it back then, because it was quite simple for me. And he said, no, I'm going to hand myself in for what I did to you, so like to try and get out of paying for the car. So it wasn't because he felt remorse, it was because he was trying to get out of a debt. And I said, oh yeah, okay then. I said, oh, when are you going to do this? He goes, tomorrow. Like, he'd get these like sporadic moments of clarity, and then he'd want to like just run with it. And so we went, and I don't know, like, I was thinking, I'm fucking sure, like, so this was it was March the 4th, 2017, and he decided to hand himself in. He did all the stuff, and when I talk about it, I'm thinking, oh, bro, those were fucking red flags right there. But anyway, he handed himself in, and it was that boss's birthday that weekend. That's why I know what date it was. And I thought, I feel weird, like in my body, sort of thing. And I was thinking, I bet you I'm fucking pregnant. And yep, sure enough, I was. And so he got sentenced, and then he was like, oh, you know, I'm really sorry about it, but he wanted me, like, he still gave me the inkling that we were sort of going to try and make it work. And then when I got pregnant, that was sort of another nail to the coffin, yeah, sort of thing. And so we did that.
How long did he get for handing himself in?
I think he got about 19 months. Yeah. And so, but he kept me on the sort of like, in the hook. But I think, like, realistically, I think it was because if I was supporting him when he went to sentencing, it would have looked better for him. So I think it was just all a big ploy. And then my son was born on the November that year, November the 9th, and I'd had him, and then I went into visits, and like, because he didn't have any other children, and he didn't have any other children. It was just my daughter and my son. And he just, like, you know, some people are just orcs when it comes to kids, but he was like, I remember taking my son when he was just a baby, like he was days old, and he sort of like picked him up like Simba in the Lion King, like sort of just went and held him up like that, and I was like, what the fuck? And then another time in visits, he had, like I said, oh, he's just about crawling, and you know, like when you say just about, it doesn't mean that they're just gonna all of a sudden like just spring and go, you know.
Yeah.
And so he put him on the ground in visits, and he was on the ground on the concrete hard floor. Well, it wasn't concrete. It had like a little thin carpet over it. And he put him on the ground. He said, I thought you said he could crawl. And I said, "Hey, just about." So you would think that you would pick up that baby, and like pick him up because he's your son, but he got his foot and sort of put it on his stomach like how you would with a dog, and sort of rolled him over. And I was thinking, bro, there's no way on fucking earth that I want you to be fathering my kids, And I'll take your sperm, but like, just fuck right off. And so after that visit, I went in for one by myself, and he said to me, he said, oh, I don't think this is working. I said, yeah, nah, I don't think it is either. I said, I will just call it a day. But this was after he got sentenced, so I said, oh, you just be, you just do you, and I'll just do me and the kids, and like, we'll try and co-parent. So that was all good. I went about my business, and he did his lag, and then he got out, and he was having problems with, like, mutual friends of ours had been telling him this and that I'd been smoking crack, which I never have, and all this other shit, and just adding fuel to the fire, really. And I said, bro, and then I said, that's not me. Like, I'm out the gate, but I'm naturally out the gate, And he said, I believe that he or somebody close to him had actually made an allegation that I was doing that.
Yeah.
So OT got involved, or it was recorded.
Yeah.
But there was no substance in what they were saying, because at that time I was working at the kindy. And then he got out, he got it into his head that I was like, pretty much, I don't know who he thought I was, but he sort of got it in his head that I was like rolling, like money rolling, like people in jail. And I mean, I do have a lot of like bros and like family members that are in jail that I do like support, because for me connection is everything. And he just got all these ideas in his head, which were helped by people that were supposedly mutual friends of ours, and he started like getting all these out the gate ideas, and that was all right. He breached. I had served him because he'd sent out this letter pretty much threatening me and talking like he was saying that he'd been talking to murderers or something. And I was thinking, well, what are you trying to say that you wanna like? And so I actually brought it to the attention of the pillars lady that I was dealing with at the time, and I said, I don't know what to do, and she said, do not go to visits. So she pulled pin on that, and then he got out, he was doing his own thing, he breached his protection order against me, because he actually, he stayed with me during lockdown. He said, oh look, I've got nowhere to go, and I said, right, come here, and I said, there's a room there, spare room there, and come there, stay there. Well, he ended up drinking again, and he ended up drinking again, and he went off his head about something one night, and he actually chased me and the kids from our house with a fish filleting knife, a brand new one, and I was like, what the fuck? And one of my bros, like one of my really close friends, I'd actually been talking with him, and he said, what's going on? And I said, oh, he's talking out the gate, like he's talking weird. And he said, "Are you all right? Do I need to come there?" And I said, No, you're all good. And because I don't want to, like, you know, I don't want him to get in trouble. And so we left, and he was chasing us, and he came up to this house where I'd gone, and then he started threatening my parents. And I was thinking, oh, fuck's sake. And then, so I had, like, he had breached his protection order, and so he was served, he had to get out of my house, and he was served with the breach, and then he had to go to court. But instead of going to court, he gapped it and went on the run for, I think it was 11 months.
Oh.
And he went on the run, and then he decided, I don't know what made him come to that decision, but he actually ended up handing himself in again. And so that was in 2021 he handed himself in. He handed himself in on October the 8th. He got out on November the 8th because he only got a month for that, for breaching. So that goes to show how much they value, you know, those sorts of things, the justice system. He got out, and I was in my home, and my niece and her little girl, who was 3, I think, at the time, and my son and my daughter, we were all in the house. And at 7:30 on the 28th of November, after he'd been out for 20 days, my door had a knock at it at 7:30 in the morning, and I stupidly went to answer it. And I unlocked it, and I was greeted by his fist. And he said, "You think it's fucking funny, do you?" And I was like, what the fuck? And he'd blown me back. Like, he'd actually blown me back from the door, but I was still standing at that stage. And then he came in, and the second punch pretty much did another parallel opening in my forehead. And I lost time from him opening the door, and I was on the floor. But then when I came to, I can remember, like, trying to be quiet. Like, I remember on Shan's live, she was saying that she wanted to be quiet because of her babies, so I understand that. And I didn't want to be like, or anything like that. I just, because I didn't want them to come out
of their rooms.
Yeah. And so when the next bit of it, I was by the fireplace in my house, and he was just drilling the base of my skull, like just punching, and I lost count of the amount of punches like my head just felt like a pinball machine. It was just getting drilled into the thing, and I was thinking, oh God. And then I heard my daughter, who was 7 at the time, I think, and she goes, "What are you doing? Stop doing that to my mum." She goes, "Stop it." Like, I know adults that wouldn't go, wouldn't do that to another person going off their head. And she was hearty, man. Like, she stood up to him. She wasn't scared. She was just like fierce as fuck. And he said, "Oh, your mother doesn't want to fucking listen." And I remember thinking, oh no. And I still had my phone, because I had some track pants on, and I had my phone in my pocket. And I remember him he broke doing that so he could talk with her. And she was going, "Stop doing that." And my son was still asleep in the room off the side of the lounge. And I made it up onto the couch at that stage, and he went into the kitchen, and I thought, oh fuck, he's gonna search for something, and he went in, and he was pulling out, real frantic, because he was pissed when he arrived at my house, and he was on, I don't know what drugs, but he was on drugs, and he ended up coming back out, but my son at that stage, he'd come out of the room, and he was half asleep, and he got up on my lap, and I messaged my niece, who was still asleep, in the room off the lounge, and I said, ring the cops ASAP. And she didn't want to ring because we didn't know where his anger was if it was going to be directed at everybody or who it was going to be directed at. And so she messaged her mum, who was in Lawrence at the time, and she said, ring the cops ASAP. He's come to the house. And she goes, just ring. And she was frantically messaging her mum, and then her little girl was going, because where's auntie, and she was going, shh, and trying to,
what a predicament for everyone to be involved in, eh?
Yeah, and so he couldn't find anything, he couldn't find any knives or that, because my younger son is spirited, and he thinks he's I don't know, William Wallace, and so I'd have everything hidden, knives and stuff, which was lucky for me.
Yeah.
But he was starting to, my brain was so mushy, and he was coming out of the kitchen, and because he couldn't find a knife, I had 3 rolling pins on a cake stand on the shelf, and he grabbed one of them, and he came out, and he was holding it like that, and I thought, oh fuck. I was thinking, oh bro, and my son was on my knee, and I was thinking, fuck, if he misses me, he'll kill him. And I thought, what am I gonna do? But although it was chaotic, I had that peace again. I just knew what I was going to do. And so when he came over with the rolling pin, he came over and he was in that sort of stance, and I thought, do it. And I just raised my leg up, and I had it up, and he just fucking slammed it. And my niece, who was in the room, she was voice recording it, the attack. So she voice recorded it, and so it was all on recorded, and you could hear it. And I was thinking, oh please God, well please whoever, give me the strength to get through this. And
fucking your son would have been screaming.
Yeah, we were all there was real high pitched screams, and then you can hear on the voice recording, because later on after that, I actually asked her if I could listen to it.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, do you think that's a good idea? And I go, I had first-hand experience, and because I've got a real dark sense of humour. And she goes, oh, bro, I don't think there's nothing there, eh? And I said, no, I just want to hear it. And so he was just whacking. And the ferocity of his attack, he actually broke that rolling pin and dislocated his own shoulder. Oh, so that goes to show the intent that he had. And then after he finished that, because I was thinking, fuck, is my leg broken? Because I was thinking, oh bro, you must have broke it.
Yeah.
And he said, what did he? Oh, he was getting around, and he goes, oh fuck, and he was pissed off because he had dislocated his shoulder. And I was thinking, oh no. And he went back into the kitchen, and he goes, ring the fucking prison, because he wanted me to ring because I believe his intent was to come and kill me. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to, but because because the prison is like, he was saying OCF to me, but in my phone was saved under Otago Correctional Facility, but because my head was so mushy, I couldn't even figure out what that stood for.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh fuck it, he's gonna kill me. And I thought, I was sitting there because, like, you know, on your phones when you've got that, you can push the button, and like if you keep pushing it, it does the SOS. Like I thought, oh yeah, nah, because when that girl up in Auckland got killed, you know, they did a big thing about that and said, oh, you know, do the emergency SOS thing, so then they can locate you. And I was pushing the button, like I was fucking pushing it like frantically. And I was thinking, no one's coming. Why the fuck is no one coming? And because it felt like forever. And I thought, he's gonna kill me, he's gonna take me out, and no one's coming on this SOS thing. And I thought, fuck it, if I'm gonna die, I want it to be on recorded. And so I thought, oh fuck it, I'll ring. Yeah, I said, yeah, I'm ringing OCF, because he kept on saying it. And he said, if you don't fucking ring them, I'm going to cut off your ears and I'm going to stab you if you don't fucking listen. And I said, yeah, I am, man. Like, and so I rang 111. And I said, oh, hello. And I was calm. Like, I was calm as. Like, there was moments that I'd slip because I think I was just like, what the fuck? And I couldn't believe the situation I was in. And I said, oh, hello, yes, that's correct, it's Monique McLean speaking. Yes, yep, 16 Lancaster Street. So I was giving the address out and giving my name so they could send help.
Yeah.
And she goes, are you in trouble? And I said, yes, that's correct. And she said, oh, how many adults are in the house? And I said, yes, that's correct. This is the third time I've rang, so to say that there were 3 adults in the house.
Oh, yeah.
And then she said, how many children? I said, yes, that's what I said, 3. This is the third time I've rung. I've rung to try and get this number taken off my call list. And she said, so there's 3 children? And I said, yes. And she said, is there any weapons been involved? And she said, I'm just going to say it and you say yes or no. And she said knife, and I said, yes, that's correct. And she said guns, and I said, there has been mention of it. This has been mentioned before, and I said it hasn't been taken off, and I was just trying to, for the best of my ability, keep to this story.
Yeah. And
so he didn't switch on, and he was back in the kitchen. I think he was smoking my smokes at that stage, looking out the window, and he got my bottle of vodka down from the cupboard and started sculling that up. And she said, whatever you do, do not hang up. And I said, okay then, thank you. And I said, that'll be done today. And she said, don't hang up. And I said, oh, okay then, bye. And I just put the phone down and put it in my pocket because I had a hoodie on. And she was on the thing, and he was starting to search again. And then my daughter said,
for weapons?
Yeah. For knives, because he found a paring knife, but that was probably the sharpest knife in the house. And he said, he came out and he was waving it around, and my daughter said, where's Fufu, Mum? And I said, oh, she's at her grandmother's, because I didn't want him to
know
that she was in the room. And he said, she's not here, is she? And I go, I said, nah, man, she's at her grandmother's. Well, he went to the room door, and he was weirdo, and he went to the room door and he turned it and then he booted it open because he thought that her partner was there. But like, we wouldn't have been in that predicament if her partner was there. Well, hopefully not. And he said, oh, hey, like nothing had happened. And she goes, oh, hey. And he said, oh, I didn't realise you were here. And she goes, yeah. And she just sort of like eyeballed him. And her little girl was in her arms. And he said, oh, come. And he had this period knife and he was going, come. And she just like looked at him like, and she just like buried her face in her mother. And he went back out and went back into the kitchen again. And I thought, if I don't leave now, I won't be leaving standing or alive. I'll be leaving in a body bag. And I just like, although it was chaotic, like throughout that attack, like everything was just real clear and calm to me because I prepared for death. And I was thinking, if I survive this, then all goods. But if I don't, I want him to get the maximum of what he can get. So my kids never ever have to be a part of that or a part of him. And he went back in to the kitchen. He was standing in the kitchen doing something, and I got up, and because at the stage where he was starting to think and talking about the knife, I was like thinking I'm going to have to get my kids to hug one another at the end of the couch, and if he was going to stab me and kill me in front of them, because I didn't want them to see that. And which fucking guts me that they had to be witness to that, because they'd never ever witnessed violence in their life. So I knew that his anger wasn't directed at them, and I made the choice to leave. And I got up and I limped over because my leg felt like it was fucking big dead weight. And I limped over to the door and I had fucking blood all over my fucking face, and I just got my eyelashes done on Friday, and it was Sunday and they were fucking all looking cake. And there was, I could feel the blood going through the like things, and I got up and I looked at my kids. And then I tried to make eye contact with my niece, but she was down because she was trying to get dressed, because she only just had a robe on and some pajama pants or something. And I tried to make contact with her, but I couldn't. And then I got out to the step, and he said to me from the kitchen, he said, "You better not fuck off, bitch." And I said, man, I'm just going for a smoke. And I grabbed my smokes on the way up. And I was saying, "No, you're not going to fucking free ride on me, you cunt." And I went out, and then I went to go down the first step, and it was so fucking hard for me to go and leave them. And but I eventually got down, and I was off. Fucking puckaroo, wai and all. Like, I was gone. Like, I would have passed Flojo in a fucking 100 metre, I tell you, because I was fucking out. And I was just gapping it in my socks going down the hill, and then I was I could hear someone calling me, but I was thinking, oh fuck, am I already dead or what? You know, because I was thinking, well, am I hearing voices? And I went down and I was hiding at the end of the road, so I could see who was coming in and out of my property. And I must have been weeping and carrying on the phone. And because I was highly distressed, because I had to leave my kids and my niece and her little girl. And I said to the 111 operator, because she's still in my pocket, and I go, can you just send the fucking cops to me? I said, I'm standing down in front of the Catholic Church. I said, I don't think they use it now, and I'm trying to give all this fucking directions. And she goes, hold on, they've just gathered in a safety point. And I go, never mind the fucking safety point. Fucking send them to me. I'll show them where he is. I said, I've had to leave my kids. And I was begging, like I said, please to send them. And I said, if he comes out that thing and he finds me, I said, it's over. I said, I'll be dead. And then, because I must have been so frantic down in this little, like, this zigzag, it's called the zigzag, and I was hiding down behind this fucking tree, and I was sort of peeping around like a peeping Tom, and I was looking up this fucking driveway and up the hill, and this lady from down the bottom of the zigzag, she came up, and she said, because I was looking and I'm on the phone, and she goes, are you lost, hun? And I turned around and she goes, oh, Monique, come. And I said, oh, no, because she had it seems ridiculous now, but she had this beautiful, like, snakeskin robe thingy on. And I was like, oh, no, I didn't want to get the blood on her. And she goes, no. I said, no, I'm bleeding everywhere. She goes, just come. That's the least of my worries, just come. And I said, if he finds me, he'll kill me. And she goes, just come, don't worry about that. And I said, we went down to her house, and then she opened the door, and it looked like fucking Home and Gardens magazine, and everything's fucking white, and I'm like, oh no. And I was thinking, oh fuck. And I said, oh look, I'm bleeding, and I don't want him to come here. And she goes, look, don't worry about that. She goes, and I said, oh, can you talk to this lady and tell them to send the fucking police to me so I can get my kids? And I said, I've had to leave them, and then I'll get real heightened again and start getting panicked. And then the police finally showed up, and the police showed up, and they said, oh, do you want to do something? And I said, no, bro, like, let's go, we'll just do the video thing, like, get it now while it's fresh in my mind.
A statement.
Yeah. I said, let's go now. And he said, oh, you sure? And I said, yeah. He said, oh, do you want to clean it? And I said, nah. I said, go. I said, I want my kids.
Yeah.
I want my kids to be safe, and I want to know that they're safe. And I was thinking, bro, you just don't really have much urgency. And, I didn't feel that they did. Yeah. And so the lady of that house, Liz, she spoke to the 111 operator, and so that call lasted for 31 minutes.
Fuck.
And they sent, so police actually had to come from Dunedin. And like a month or two before, I had one of those safety alarms in my house, and it had to be taken back because I wasn't at risk, because he was in jail for that month. So, and there's a national shortage of those safety alarms. And also I was thinking, because I was on the victim register, notification register, I would have been contacted. So I found out later on that he actually cut his bracelet, his electronic monitoring device, at 5:30 in the morning, and he arrived at my house at 7:30. So that was 2 hours. 10 minutes would have got me and my kids out of that house and to safety. And that morning alone, 6 people had rang the police, 111.
Wow. Because
he had urinated in public. He was driving erratically. A member of public tried to stop him, and...
Is this all in that 2 hours?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and he drove 66. So he wasn't even in
The same town.
he wasn't even in the place that he was bailed to. So I find it very hard to understand how the fuck someone on intensive, I don't know what was intensive about it, but intensive supervision, made their way from Wakawaiti, just out of like Oamaru, down to Balclutha, where you were at a 21st drinking and whatnot, and you drove then from Balclutha, which is 66 k's away from Lawrence, you drove from there to there and was able to come to my address and home invade me. But they didn't even charge him with home invasion. They charged him with aggravated robbery. So how do you work that? I don't. Aggravated robbery, a couple of threatens to kill, GBH, I think, and intent to cause grievous bodily harm. A couple of those charges. He'd stolen the car that he'd turned up in. He was that fixated on what he was coming to do that he didn't even see my niece's car parked up the driveway. And I had to relocate from there for my parents' safety. I mean, I had thought that I was going to end my days, well, they were going to end their days with me looking after them. But I had to actually leave them. I mean, after it happened, because my head was so mushed up, I had to go back and live, as a 47-year-old woman, I had to go back and live with my parents, my elderly parents, who are 87 and 81. And all because the system made me feel safe, made me feel complacent. And like a month or so before he came and home invaded me, I used to have this poker under, like, by the seat near the door that he came through, and I moved it. And I was like, oh, bro. Because that's what I was thinking when he blew me back the second time and I was down on the ground. And I was like, oh, fuck, I've moved the poker. And not saying that you should use weapons against someone that's doing that, because most of the time they can be used against you, and that ends up being a lot of the time the reason why women died trying to protect themselves. But I had two ambulances that rocked up, and two of them I knew, and then another ambulance from Balclutha came, and when they came in, I remember Chappie, one of the ambulance officers, he used to own the Four Square in Lawrence, and I remember him saying, oh, Monique, and I said he was trying to wipe my eye, and I said, oh, Chappie, can you just go gentle, because I've just had my eyelashes done like on Friday. And he was like thinking that I was in shock, but I was like being straight up with him, because I was thinking, bro, if you knew how much these cost, you wouldn't be like so dismissive of that. But anyway, and then they actually took me through to A&E in Dunedin by ambulance. But in between then, my niece actually come down, and she goes, are you all right? And I said, well, I've been better, I've been better. And I said, are you all right? Are the kids all right? And she goes, yeah, her mum had the kids. And I said, and she goes, he's fucked. And I go, oh, you're telling me? And she goes, no, like, when he knew that they were coming, the police were coming for him, or was thinking that they were, he went to my kids and he said to them, oh, guys, like, Dad's going to go away for a wee bit. I think we should have a group hug. So this sort of shows the mental capacity of the man, like, and my son was like, he was bewildered by it, like he was just so bewildered by everything, and he didn't know what to do, and my daughter was just like, no. And then she kept on following him around. She was like a little pity, and she kept on following him wherever he went just to make sure where he was going. And then when the police actually apprehended him, but he was threatening the police. They were like gathered down the bottom of my driveway, and he was actually saying, I'm gonna fucking kill you and all this sort of stuff. And if I find out this and that, I'm gonna come to your houses. And one of the police apparently said to him, look, mate, I'm an old man. I don't even know what you're going on about, eh? And he was just frantic and just really out the gate. And so the kids had gone away. The kids had gone away, and then my son, who was okay to go near him, well, I don't think he knew what was going on, to be fair. I think he was in shock. He'd noticed that my son had blood on his sweatshirt, and he goes, oh, buddy. Like, he was manic. He said, oh, buddy, oh, get that off you. And he took it off and he put it in the washing machine. Because he knew, like, yeah, like out the gate. And it was just real chaotic. And then so I went to A&E in Dunedin. And when I got there, I said to the nurse, I said, can you please let me know when he gets here? And they said, oh no, he won't be coming here. I said, yeah, he will be, because he's dislocated his shoulder. I said, I just want to know where in this hospital he is. And she said, oh no, like, oh, do you want us to post security guards out your door? I said, no. I said, I just want to know where he is, so I don't cross paths with him. And she said, oh, okay then we'll just shut your door. And they gave me a room by myself, and and he did come in. She said, oh, he has come in. And I said, yeah, I knew he would. And but he's got police officers with him, and also he's handcuffed. And I said, well, I should hope so.
Yeah, fuck, I reckon.
You know, so, and that's, but then it's the whole court system too.
Yeah.
Like, when he was getting sentenced, so that took a whole year for that to roll around, because he kept on fucking delaying that and putting that off and changing lawyers. Oh no, actually, before he went to jail, so he signed on to sex because he feared for his life. Like, doing the fucking club, bro. And so he went into segregation. And, which I'm just like, fucking hell. So he did that, and so it took a whole year for his court case to come around, and then I went to court and did a victim impact statement. This thing here, and what he got sentenced, so he actually ended up getting 5 years, 10 months, I think, which in the grand scheme of things is fuck all. I know people are going to say it's like, that's fuck all. But like with domestic violence, that's a fucking big, like, it's quite big in comparison to some of the other fucking charges that they get, like supervision and but he's so good at manipulating the system. And when he was on the run for the 11 months before he handed himself in, not once did I see his face come up on Facebook or anything like that. But I know if my other bros or somebody else, especially if they were of a brown complexion, maybe, would have popped up on there like without fail. And if they would have had gang connections, they would have popped up again. So, and that's where the system fails, because he's white And I'm not making it a racial issue. This is my experience dealing with the justice system. And before he was getting sentenced, the day that I was getting told by the Crown prosecutor like what was going to happen, I had like pretty much put all my eggs in one basket because the 3 strike law still was at thing then. That week they'd taken it out. And so I was distraught about that because that was the only thing that was giving me, hope. Was he was going to serve that whole fucking sentence. And no, they changed it. And so they changed that, and I thought, I need to do this victim impact. And I got up and read it, and he just sat there like he couldn't even give a fuck. Like I was I was a pain in his ass. He just sat there with his face leaning on the thing and just sat there. And I was thinking, fuck. But I did it because of that fact. I didn't want him to get a lesser sentence. And then recently I've had parole to try and because I don't think it's fair. I've had to rebuild my life and my kids' lives. Like my son used to sleep after that. He was so hypervigilant. He used to sleep with an arsenal of Nerf guns under his bed in case his father got released from jail and came to kill me.
Wow.
And that was he was 4 or 5 at that time. So he has fucked a lot of things, but he's also, from that, I've met some beautiful souls and some beautiful people along the way. And I mean, obviously I'd never want to go back to fucking that happening again, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if anyone else would have survived what I survived. Like both times, realistically. I was lucky to survive that first time. So, the justice system needs a big overhaul, eh? And I don't know where you start with that. I don't know where, but I can see the reason why. Sometimes it's easier. I mean, the magic number, I think, for leaving a relationship with domestic violence is 7 or 8. And I can see why women stay, because it's easier to deal with the devil that you know than the devil that you don't.
Yeah.
And then even when you do leave, it's the fucking mind games they play with you. You know, like just the constant things that they do. And like before I went up to parole, my parents had written to my parents to try and pave the way to show his remorse and his feeling. They're my fucking parents. You don't need to fucking contact them. They already think you're a peasant, bro. You know, the only good thing that has come out of him is my kids. Like, he's just an oxygen thief. And,
God. How long's he got left?
By rights, he should have only had to serve, because of that 3 strike system going out, he should have only had to serve a third of his sentence, so a third of the 5 years, 10 months, I think. But I think the judge could see the severity in what he had done, so he actually said he gave him a half sentence lag. So he had to do 2 years, 5 months, which he has already done, because and that's why he had to go to parole, to pretty much begged them to keep him in there. And at least for another couple.
And what are the odds of that happening?
Quite high. Yeah, quite high, because they, like, I mean, I said to the parole board when I went up against them, like, in front of them, like, I'd come before you so you can see me as a person and see how this has affected me. And I said, I want to be an actual face in front of you, so you know, like, they pretty much have my, like, life in their hands. And they said, oh no, we definitely see you as that anyway, because of my written submission. Like, I did every submission you could possibly think to do, just for that fact, to keep him in there. So I think he is to undergo a psychiatric evaluation, I think, and they are giving until March next year, and then if he is to go to parole again, he has to do a STURP course, and there's 3 prisons in New Zealand that offer that. One is at Christchurch Men's, another is at Ramataka, and another one is at Spring Hill. So if he wants to get paroled any earlier than his end date, he'll have to do that. But I think he didn't even show up for the fucking board. Because he gave a big story about how sorry he was and all that sort of stuff. And when the parole board lady started reading that out, I said, I don't want to hear it. I've heard it all before. It's just lies, and this is his manipulation. He's starting already to put his eggs in a row, and make everyone think that I'm fucking out the gate and fucking crazy, because that's what they love to do. And she said, I can pretty much hand on heart guarantee that he will not be getting out under 2 years. So after the psych evaluation, they will redo a parole board, and then they will insist that he does a STURP course.
Yeah.
So if he wants to get released, but that goes for 18 months from what I gather, from what the parole board had said. So yeah, I'm hoping that gets crossed.
Fuck yeah.
And that's...
God, how do you pick up the pieces after something like that?
Like, just, you've got to. You've got to, especially when there's, well, like, I mean, my oldest son lives with his father, but you've got to. But my daughter, she is a fucking machine. She is so strong, like, she's my hero. She actually stopped him from actually killing me, I believe. And she is...
Do they remember anything? Does she remember it?
Oh yeah, no, he's like pretty much dead to her, eh? And my son, he will not talk about him. He's not even mentioned. And that's not through my doing and poisoning them. Like, I'm not all about getting on the bandwagon and, you know, I let them make their own decision. But it was because of what they witnessed.
Yeah.
Because I'd never even witnessed that before. I didn't know what the fuck it was going on. And, so they have come to their own conclusions on that. But then I'll have to, because I know what he's like. He's so narcissistic that he will probably want to have some sort of custody or access to his children. And that'll be another game he'll want to play with me.
Yeah.
But fucking bring it. I'm ready.
Yeah. And be careful too, because I've seen things where they know that that's the way to get through to you, eh? That through the kids is the only way to actually break you and hurt you.
Yeah, because there was a worry for me that if he, he's the type of person that would, be like that, definitely. But my daughter, she's on. She's really on. Like, we've got safety plans in place. We know how to get to this point, that point. We've got like a really good support system in place. I mean, I started when I was up here. I think my whole Wairoa was just fucking depleted, and I needed something, so I started going to church. I mean, you wouldn't think it with the amount of swearing, but started going to church, and I've met some beautiful people through the church, and like in my church back home, like there's women in there that I just love to bits, and elderly, like 74-year-olds that will bake me 2 dozen cinnamon oysters and give them to my mum to bring up, and even give her the money for the cream to put in the cinnamon oysters, those sorts of people. My minister from my church here in Lawrence, he actually came up to bless my house after I was home invaded, and just really, and I said to him, and I was probably laughing, and he was probably thinking, I don't think this is funny at all, but I said to him, it's like this, Andrew, you could have been doing my service. Yeah. Because that's the reality of it. And I don't think people actually realise that until, like I was, before I came here, like I've been telling everyone. But the people, like when you say, domestic violence, something, you can just see the barriers go up. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because they feel awkward, but I'm like open. I'm open with it because the shame's not mine to carry. Yeah, hard. Not at all. And it took me a second time. Well, I'm not saying go through that at all. Yeah. But it took me a second time to actually understand that. And but that whole thing actually consumed me that much that I was making fucked up choices. Like, I was driving along the road, for example, and I was thinking, I wonder what would happen if I put my car into reverse. Well, lucky in an automatic car, it doesn't actually go into reverse, because I would have went into an 18-wheeler. And I was like, oh shit. And I was thinking, what the fuck are you up to? But he was consuming me that much. Like, I was just so tunnel visioned about everything. Like, keeping my kids safe, keeping my parents safe, keeping my son up in Blenheim safe, keeping my friends safe, because that's another thing he likes to do, like get on and be a keyboard warrior, because he's good like that. I was thinking about all my loved ones' safety, and I thought, you need to fucking wake up. You need to get a grip, and I found that in going to church, and and my church fam back at home really just loved me, and let me be in a safe space. And although it's quite, it's a Presbyterian church, but they're just really
non-judgmental.
Yeah, no, and just this amount of support I got from just random people. I remember I'd given my story to the Otago Daily Times, and I was talking about it to the reporter that did it over the phone, and in this restaurant, and this lady came over to me and gave me $20. She's like, sounds like you've been going through some hard times. She said, here, do something special for yourself. And I was like, oh, she must have been loud. Like, and I said, no, it's okay. And she goes, no, please. She goes, that's the least I can do. You know, just random things like that. So there is like a lot of love and a lot of kindness out there. You've just got to find the right avenues and the right people to go to and the right places to go to.
When you go back to when you were right in the thick of it, is there anything that could have been done that may have got you out of there earlier than what you did?
No, I don't believe there was, because when I think there was a time, I think it was when he was just punching the base of my skull. And although that was all chaotic, I just felt, because I was okay with actually dying. And when you get to that point in whatever's happening with you, if you're okay to do it, I was okay with dying. I wasn't okay with my kids seeing that, him kill me and take me out in front of them. That's what I struggled with, and I still do now.
But that's no one should ever have to be in that position.
No, but it's just like, I just was at peace. I was thinking, you've taken everything from me. I'm not going to let you take that. I'm not going to let you take my soul. And I'm not going to let you do that to my kid's mother in front of my kids. And I don't believe, because my head was too scrambled. So I don't believe, but I just felt like a blanket of calm, like, you've got this, you know, like, not someone saying you've got this, but I just felt like a cloak had just been put over me, and I just felt warm. And it could have been the blood, I don't know, but but I just felt really calm with it. And like, the reason why I rang 111 when I was like, I shouldn't have been ringing ACF, because I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't even get the thing of what it actually stood for, but that came to me through an American TV program about this woman. She was having domestic violence in her life, and that triggered me to think about it. And I was thinking, what can I do? And she actually pretended she was ringing for a pizza.
Yes. Fuck yes.
Yeah. So that was I was thinking, I've got to do something like that. And I was thinking, I just kept on thinking, this isn't where my story ends. Like, if I make it out of here, I'm going to do something with this. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Here you are, sharing it with the world to raise awareness.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So